أعوذ بالله الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Before the break, we were actually talking about causation in environmental health. And causation basically comes from the word cause, like ma huwa sabab. So understanding causation is one of the most important and challenging tasks in environmental epidemiology. It helps answer a critical question. Does this environment factor actually cause disease, or is it just linked to it? So finding causation can be very difficult. Like in epidemiologists always try to ask themselves, what is the cause of this disease? And finding the causation is very difficult. Now, talking about causation, there are two things that we have to understand. There is what is known as association and causation. أي الارتباط and السببية. So what is the difference between al-irtibat and as-sababiyya? So let us start with al-irtibat. Now, when you're doing any research, al-irtibat basically means when you're doing a research, you have variables, right? So, mathalan, you might be doing a research. You want to know the effect of, for example, reading on the performance of student. So this can be a topic of your research, the effect of reading on the performance of the student. So when you're talking about association, al-irtibat, so we are basically talking about the relationship. Mathalan, if you read more, your performance will be better. If you don't read more, your performance will not be better. So this is somehow, this is what is known as al-irtibat. So association means that two variables are related or occur together. But this does not necessarily mean that one causes the other. So two variables, hunaka al-mutaghayyirin, no, they are related to each other. But this does not necessarily mean that one causes the other. But it does not mean that, for example, performance is somehow related to reading or reading is related to performance. So in other words, they are connected, yes, but the relationship may be indirect or influenced by another factor. So yes, reading and your performance, they are related. No, sorry, they are connected. But the relationship may be indirect or influenced by another factor. Because there are a lot of factors that can improve your performance, not only reading. So for example, whether you are absent or present in school can also affect your performance. Your teachers can also affect your performance. The environment in your house can also affect your performance. So it is not only reading that affects your performance. Okay? So that is the meaning of al-irtibat. Association means that two variables are related or occur together. But this does not necessarily mean that one causes the other. No. Kalla. So they are connected, but the relationship may be indirect or influenced by another factor. Now, they're giving us an example here. But this example, just leave it. You'll read it because of time. Now, number two is causation, as-sababiyya. So as-sababiyya is the opposite of al-irtibat. Causation means that one factor directly produces an effect. So there is a clear cause and effect relationship. That is, one event leads to another. For example, air pollution leads to what? Causes respiratory diseases. Full stop. So there is the cause effect. It's clear there. So here, harmful particles in the air directly damage the lungs and lead to illness. So this is a direct relationship. You know, one factor causes the other. Unlike the association, it is just associated, they are connected. Now, why this distinction matter? So as an epidemiologist, why should you know this al-alaka al-irtibatiya or sababiyya? Is it important? Why should you know the association and the causation? So if we confuse association with causation, because this is what most researchers do, if we confuse these two things, we may make wrong public health decisions. If you confuse the cause of a disease, you will end up giving wrong medication, wrong interventions. Number two, we might focus on the wrong risk factors. So, for example, you might conclude that smoking leads to cancer. But maybe that is not the case. Maybe it is not smoking that leads to cancer. Maybe there are other factors. So we might focus on the wrong factors. Then resources could be wasted on ineffective intervention. So because you are making a decision, so the Ministry of Health or Public Health is going to allocate resources to a place where it should not be, just because we confuse the two things, the cause and association. So we are our resources, they are just being wasted actually on a problem that is maybe insignificant, or maybe there is even no problem. We are just wasting money there. Okay? Now, how do we know if something causes disease? In an exam, you can be asked this question. How do we know if something causes a disease? How can you be sure, Jama, 100% that hadha huwa sabab? This is the reason. I'm just sure. So number one, strength of association. This is known as quwwatul irtibat. كلما كانت القوة شديدة أو القوية كلما زاد احتمال ماذا? So the strength of association, that is the first thing. Strong relationships are more likely to be causal. So if the relationship between the two variables is very strong, so that is a clear indicator that this might be the cause of the disease. For example, heavy smokers have a much higher risk of lung cancer compared to non-smokers. So the stronger the link, the more convincing the evidence. So that is number one. The stronger the link, the more convincing the evidence. So those who smoke heavily, they have a high chance of getting diseases, and the opposite is true. Number two, consistency. What is the meaning of consistency? That is, the same findings are observed in different studies, population, and settings. So if multiple studies show the same results, it increases confidence in causation. So for example, in Mogadishu, you find that the cause of malaria is poor sanitation. You go, for example, to Garowe, the cause of malaria, for example, poor sanitation. You go to so this is consistency. You know, different studies in different areas, they show the same result. So we can confidently say that this is the cause of the disease. Number three, time relationship. Time relationship. The cause must come before the effect. The cause, as sabab, should come before the al-athar. So a disease cannot be caused by something that happens after it. A disease cannot be caused by something that happens after it. A disease is caused by something that happens before. You get malaria because there is something. You get cancer, you get TB because there is something that comes before, not after. So example, exposure to polluted air must occur before the development of lung disease. So you cannot have the lung disease before being exposed to polluted air. Number 4, biological explanation. So there should be a scientific explanation for how the exposure leads to disease. The relationship must make sense biologically. So chemicals in polluted air irritate and damage lung tissue, leading to respiratory illness. So this is a biological explanation. The stronger the biological evidence, the stronger the cause, basically. But if there is no biological evidence, we cannot say that something leads to another one. So these are so here we have 4. 1, so this is how you can know if something causes a disease. The strength of association, number 1, the consistency, then time, relationship, then biological explanation. But there are very many. During your free time, you can go and research more. There is what is known as the Bradford Hill criteria. So these are the principles to judge causation. There are very many. So the strength, we've already talked about it. Consistency, we've talked about it. We've talked about temporality related to time. So we also have all this. So you have to, during your free time, you can just research more about all the, So this is just the strength, consistency, temporality, ila ghayri dhalik. Now, what are some of the limitations and challenges in environmental epidemiology? ما هي التحديات والمشاكل that the environmental epidemiologists normally face? Number 1, bias, التحيز. So bias refers to a systematic error in a study that leads to incorrect conclusion. It can distort the true relationship between exposure and diseases. So, number 1, we have the 2 types of bias. Number 1 is selection bias. Occurs when the group of people selected for the study is not representative of the general population. So the group that you have selected is not a representative of the general population. For example, you are studying about the prevalence of disease among the old people. So you cannot go, your representative cannot be young people. You'll be having wrong results because you are choosing the young people, yet your research is focused on the old people. Number 2, recall bias. Happens when participants do not accurately remember past exposures or events. So people may not remember how much polluted water they drank or when they were exposed. So because this research sometimes it is based on asking people. So it is subjective. So sometimes you ask, well, how many cups of water did you drink? How many cups of polluted water, mathalan, did you drink? For how long have you been exposed to this pollution? I think maybe thinking, that is being subjective. It's going to affect. Then number 2, confounding factors. Al-awamil al-murbika. So a confounding factor is a third variable that influences both the exposure and the outcome, making it difficult to determine the true cause. It confuses the relationship being studied. Example, when studying air pollution and lung disease, smoking may also cause lung disease. If not controlled, it becomes unclear whether pollution or smoking is responsible. So sometimes we can say air pollution causes lung disease. But is it only air pollution that causes lung disease? No. هناك العوامل أخرى. Even smoking can cause lung cancer. So it is not about the air pollution. So you cannot just say it's only air pollution that causes lung cancer. No. هناك العوامل أخرى قد تؤدي إلى المرض. So there are many other factors. So these other factors are known as confounding factors. So sometimes it can confuse you when you're doing your research. Then data limitation, قيود البيانات. Sometimes when you're doing your research, especially in Africa, you don't have enough information. Lack of accurate or complete data, poor record keeping system, limited environmental monitoring because we don't have good technology. Then exposure measurement problems. So sometimes it is often difficult to measure exactly how much exposure a person has had to an environment hazard. Like, for example, how can we measure the exposure, for example, to temperature, the exposure to water pollution, the exposure to air? How can we measure? How can we know? It's very difficult, actually, to measure this thing, you know? Then ethical issues, al-qadaya al-akhlaqiyya. So sometimes, so there are ethical constraints limit what researchers can do in studies. So researchers cannot intentionally expose people to harmful conditions just to study their effects. Just because we are doing a research, we should not subject our respondent to harmful condition. For example, you are giving them untreated water to see the effect of untreated water. No, it's harmful to them. They cannot drink an harmful untreated water just because you want to do your research. And that is it, you know. So that is the end of our lesson. So these are some YouTube videos and some YouTube links. You can during your free time, I need you to review what? I need you to review these YouTube videos. They'll really help you a lot to get more information. So that's the end of our lesson. Is there any question, please? If you have any question, you can ask. I'm going to send the attendance to your group. So last week, some students did not take the attendance. The attendance is 20 marks. For every lesson you miss 3 marks. So you should be very careful with the attendance. Any question, please? Any question? Yes? So you'll get, I will share this video in my YouTube channel. You'll get these videos in my YouTube channel, inshallah. So I've sent the attendance. Can you check the attendance in your WhatsApp group? You have to click the link before I disable it. I'll disable the link after 5 minutes. If after 5 minutes you don't take the attendance, it basically means you are absent. So just write your name, mobile number, and submit. So that's the end of our lesson. We'll meet next week, inshallah. Okay. Wassalam.